$3. I mean, mathematically, that is the total platform cost to launch a global retail infrastructure today.
Right. Which is wild.
It is. Like, you don't need a 5-year commercial lease. You don't need to hire contractors to build physical shelves. And you certainly don't need to bleed capital before a single customer even walks through the door.
Yeah, the barrier to entry is just entirely gone.
Exactly. But what happens after you spend those $3? Because that's where the trap is.
Yeah.
So welcome to another deep dive. Today, we have a highly requested document in front of us for you. The inherently curious learner who just wants to cut through all the noise.
Right.
It's this comprehensive breakdown titled Shopify for Small Business. Features cost and real ROI.
And, the landscape of modern commerce is just notoriously murky. It's filled with a lot of polished marketing and, frankly, very little transparent math.
Oh, absolutely.
So to understand what we're actually looking at today, we first have to grasp the sheer scale of the subject. Like, the source data shows this platform supports over 6.9 million active merchants worldwide. Wow. Millions.
Yeah, and in 2025 alone, it processed an astonishing $378 billion in gross merchandise volume.
Okay, wait, let's unpack this for a second. Gross merchandise volume. For anyone listening who maybe, doesn't live in financial spreadsheets, that's just the total dollar value of all the physical goods sold across every single store on their platform, right?
Yep, that is the exact metric.
Yeah.
And it proves that the underlying technology can handle immense enterprise-level scale without buckling.
Makes sense.
But, the focus of our analysis today isn't on how mega corporations use the software. We're actually looking at how this exact same infrastructure functions for a single person.
Right, like someone trying to launch a side hustle or a small brand from their living room.
Exactly.
Huh?
We want to unpack the actual math, the hidden hurdles, and the legitimate trajectory of a small online business today.
Because before you can build anything, you have to understand the true financial baseline. I mean, pricing pages on software websites can be aggressively deceiving.
Oh, very much so. Like, when I see a starting at $29 a month sticker on a platform like this, my brain immediately thinks of a budget airline ticket.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Right. You buy the seat. You think you got this great deal, but then you get to the airport and realize you're going to be nickel and dimed for your luggage. So I'm wondering, are merchants paying extra for a checkout cart or paying for a domain or a theme just to make the site minimally functional?
Well, it's an entirely valid suspicion, especially given how software as a service usually operates. But the source material actually breaks down the exact realistic math here.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the $29 a month, if billed annually, is real, but it is just the baseline seat. The actual realistic monthly operating cost for most small businesses is typically between $50 and $100.
Okay. So the marketing isn't technically lying, but it is omitting the realities of running a business. Where is that extra $20 to $70 actually coming from?
Right, it comes from unavoidable operational overhead. So beyond the basic plan itself, you have payment processing fees. Every time a transaction occurs, the built-in system takes 2.9% plus 30 cents.
Got it. Standard credit card stuff.
Exactly. Plus, you also need a custom domain name, which runs about $14 to $20 a year. And as a business scales, there might be a few monthly app subscriptions in there too.
Okay, but still, $50 to $100 a month total is an entirely different universe than renting a physical storefront.
Oh, it is a profound shift in overhead. But the source highlights a mechanism that drops the barrier to entry even lower than that.
Wait, really? Lower than $29?
Yeah. Shopify frequently utilizes this promotional structure where new merchants pay just $1 a month for their first 3 months.
Wow. $3 for an entire quarter.
Exactly.
I mean, that completely changes the psychology of starting a venture.
Yeah.
The catastrophic financial risk of the 20th century business model is basically eliminated.
It really is.
You're risking the cost of a cup of coffee to test if the market actually wants your product.
Yeah, it shifts the burden of failure entirely from financial capital to creative capital. You're basically buying a 3-month window to validate an idea.
Right. But eventually a merchant does have to pay standard rates.
They do. And as the revenue scales, they have to decide when to move up the pricing tiers. And what's fascinating here is the exact mathematical break-even threshold the source provides for upgrading from the basic plan to the grow plan. It just removes all the guesswork.
That's huge, because if you're mapping out a business plan right now, knowing the exact moment a software tier becomes profitable is a crucial piece of business literacy. So what is the threshold?
The transition point is $25,000 a month in card revenue.
Okay, $25K.
Right. Below that, you stay on the basic plan. The moment a store passes it, moving to the Grow plan becomes mathematically mandatory.
Walk us through the mechanism behind that specific number. I'm assuming it has to do with those transaction fees you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it is purely a balance of fixed costs versus variable costs. So the basic plan is $29 a month, and it takes 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction.
Right.
The next tier, the Grow plan, increases your fixed cost to $79 a month. However, in exchange for that higher monthly fee, your variable transaction rate drops to 2.7%. So you save 0.2% on every single sale.
Let me do the math on that real quick. So 0.2% of $25,000 is exactly $50.
Yep.
And the difference in the monthly subscription fee between the two plans is also $50. That is brilliant.
That is the core of it. The absolute second a store processes more than $25,000, the savings on the transaction fees entirely offset the higher subscription cost.
Oh, wow.
And the source explicitly warns against upgrading early based on a false sense of scale, which they actually label as mistake number 7. You only pay for the higher tier when the raw math justifies it.
Makes sense. So the financial baseline is very transparent. But let's look at the actual friction of launching. Because the narrative we are often sold is that you can go from an idea to a live store in an afternoon.
Right. The whole launch today marketing angle.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. The source mentions there are over 17,500 apps in the Shopify App Store.
That's a lot of apps.
It's massive. If I am launching a brand today and I know I'm competing against millions of other merchants, my first instinct is to arm myself to the teeth.
Of course.
I want pop-ups, countdown timers, advanced analytics, loyalty programs. Yet the guide strongly insists on starting with 0 paid apps. Why actively handicap yourself like that?
Well, that instinct to overbuild is exactly how merchants fall into what the guide calls the app trap. It is identified as mistake number 1.
The app trap, I like that.
Yeah. Installing too many apps at launch doesn't just drain your budget, it actually harms the customer experience.
How so?
Because every unnecessary app injects third-party code into your site, which slows down the page load time. And in e-commerce, a slow page equals a lost sale.
Right, people just click away.
Exactly. Furthermore, if you add, say, 5 apps costing $20 a month each, you have drastically increased your operating costs before securing a single customer.
Which means you are draining the exact capital you need to run advertisements and actually get people to look at the store in the first place.
Precisely.
It's like a false sense of productivity. You feel like you're building a business because you're clicking buttons and adding features, but you're really just buying shiny tools.
That's exactly it. So the recommendation is to start incredibly lean. The platform actually provides highly effective, completely free native apps.
Like what?
Well, for example, Shopify Email allows up to 10,000 free marketing emails a month. Shopify Product Reviews builds customer trust natively. Shopify Inbox provides live chat functionality. And a free SEO app ensures your search engine visibility is solid.
So you really don't need the paid stuff to start.
No, a merchant should only add a paid app when they hit a very specific, undeniable operational bottleneck that a free tool simply cannot solve.
Okay, does this lean philosophy apply to the visual design of the store as well? Because I noticed mistake number 2 in the source is buying a premium theme too early.
Yes, absolutely. Premium themes can cost anywhere between $280 and $400.
Ouch.
Yeah. And they're beautifully coded, sure, but a beautiful storefront cannot force a consumer to buy a product nobody wants.
That is a harsh but true reality.
It is. So the source advises using one of the 13 free themes, specifically highlighting their flagship Horizon theme.
It's Horizon, okay.
It utilizes a drag-and-drop visual editor that requires 0 coding knowledge, and it is natively mobile responsive. The rule of thumb here is that a merchant should only invest $400 in aesthetics after they have consistent, proven sales validating the product itself.
Okay, so if I am ignoring all 17,000 apps and I'm skipping the custom design work, what does a lean launch actually look like mechanically? Like, are we talking weeks of configuration?
Not at all. The guide outlines a deliberate, philosophy-driven workflow containing just 5 steps.
Just 5.
Just 5. It begins with claiming the trial and applying that free Horizon theme. But the critical philosophical point is actually in the product upload phase. They strongly recommend adding only 5 to 10 core products at launch.
Wait, why limit the inventory? If I have 50 products, shouldn't I display all of them to cast a wider net?
You'd think so, but throwing 50 products at a new visitor creates choice paralysis.
Yeah, right.
When a consumer is unfamiliar with a brand, Too many options lead to decision fatigue, and they just leave.
That makes total sense.
By curating the initial offering down to the absolute best items, the merchant focuses the customer's attention and simplifies the path to purchase. So after the products are in, the merchant just configures payments, removes the password page, and connects external sales channels like Google or Instagram.
That sounds incredibly streamlined.
Yeah.
Almost too simple, honestly. Is there a trap hidden somewhere in that setup workflow?
Well, there is a significant financial trap hidden in the payment configuration step.
I knew it.
Mistake number 3 in the document is skipping the native Shopify payment system in favor of a third-party gateway.
You mean like trying to plug in your own independent credit card processor, like a traditional merchant account from a bank?
Yes. If a merchant chooses to use an external gateway, the platform penalizes them with an additional 0.5% to 2% surcharge on every single transaction, and that's on top of the standard credit card fees.
Wait, a 2% penalty on gross revenue?
Yep.
That could completely wipe out a small business's profit margin. That feels less like a feature and more like a walled garden. They are basically forcing you to use their financial infrastructure.
It is the absolute definition of a walled garden ecosystem. You see, the platform subsidizes that $29 entry point because they want to capture the transaction volume.
So that's how they make their real money.
Exactly. By using the built-in system, the merchant avoids the surcharge, and the platform handles credit cards, Apple Pay, and Google Pay natively. While it definitely restricts choice, there is rarely a mathematical justification for a small business to absorb a 2% penalty just to use an outside processor.
Makes sense. So what does this all mean for the actual consumer? We built the store cheaply, we've avoided the code load of the app trap, and we are safely inside the walled garden of their payment system. Yep. But an efficient backend is useless if the website visitor abandons their cart. To me, an abandoned online cart is the digital equivalent of a customer walking up to a physical cash register, looking at a massive chaotic line, feeling frustrated, and just dropping their items and walking out the door.
That is a very accurate comparison.
So how does the underlying technology prevent that friction from happening?
Well, friction at checkout is the silent killer of the entire e-commerce industry. And this is where the platform leverages its massive network to benefit the individual merchant, primarily through a feature called Shop Pay.
Well, I see that purple button on almost every independent store I visit now.
It's everywhere.
How is it actually functioning under the hood? I want to understand the mechanism that makes it so ubiquitous.
Think of Shop Pay as an interconnected identity network. The source actually notes that it converts up to 50% faster than standard checkout flows.
50% faster. That's massive.
It is. The mechanism relies on tokenized data and cross-store recognition. Basically, millions of consumers have already saved their shipping addresses and credit card details into this network during previous purchases across the internet.
It's like having an easy pass toll tag for the internet.
I love that.
Right. Like you don't have to stop your car, roll down the window, and throw coins in the bucket at every new website you visit. The system just recognizes your vehicle and lifts the gate.
That is an excellent way to visualize the reduction in cognitive load. When a customer lands on a brand new, completely unknown small business website, they don't have to type out their street address on a tiny mobile keyboard or dig through their wallet for a physical credit card.
They just tap the button.
Exactly. They tap the purple button, the network verifies their identity via a text message code or facial recognition, and the transaction is complete in seconds. It hands an enterprise-grade competitive advantage directly to a $29 a month merchant.
You are essentially borrowing the established trust and the speed of a massive global network.
Yes.
But what about the liability of all that data? If I'm running a store from my living room, the idea of being responsible for thousands of credit card numbers is terrifying. A single data breach would bankrupt a small brand.
Oh, absolutely. But this is perhaps the most crucial invisible benefit outlined in the source. The platform maintains Level 1 PCI DSS compliance.
Okay, let's translate the acronyms for a second. What does that actually mean for the person running the store?
It stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. In practical terms, it means the merchant is entirely insulated from the toxic liability of holding financial data.
Okay, good.
The raw credit card numbers literally never touch the merchant's personal servers or computers. The transaction is tokenized and processed within Shopify's heavily guarded infrastructure. Since the merchant never possesses the data, hackers cannot steal it from them.
That is a massive relief. It removes the necessity of hiring a dedicated cybersecurity team just to sell t-shirts.
It really does. They also provide automatic security patches, free SSL certificates to encrypt the browsing session, and DDoS protection.
DDoS protection being the defense against malicious bots trying to overwhelm the site with fake traffic to take it offline.
Exactly. The merchant never touches a physical server. They are completely abstracted away from the technical maintenance of the internet.
Okay, but the source also mentions a strategy for people who might not even want a traditional standalone website.
Right.
Like, what if a creator just wants to sell digital art directly through their Instagram feed? Or maybe a writer wants to add a single purchase option to an existing blog.
This introduces the concept of omnichannel selling. And the guide highlights a specific tier called the starter plan, which costs only $5 a month.
$5. So even less than the $29 basic tier we discussed earlier.
Yes, because it strips away the website builder entirely. It just provides the merchant with checkout links and embeddable buy buttons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a creator can drop a checkout link directly into an Instagram direct message, a TikTok bio, or embed the button into an existing WordPress site.
That is so flexible.
And crucially, whether a merchant is generating revenue through a $5 link, a $29 storefront, or swiping physical cards at a local farmer's market using their point-of-sale hardware, every single transaction and inventory update feeds back into one unified dashboard.
So you aren't cross-referencing 3 different inventory spreadsheets at midnight. It's all managed by a single brain.
Exactly.
Let's look at the trajectory, though. Say the business finds incredible product market fit. A video goes viral, sales pour in, and that $25,000 a month threshold is suddenly in the rearview mirror. Historically, outgrowing your software was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the historical hurdle of outgrowing a platform is known as replatforming.
Right.
Like 10 years ago, if a small business experienced hypergrowth, their basic website would just crash. They would have to pause operations, hire developers, spend tens of thousands of dollars, and migrate their entire customer database to a completely different enterprise software suite.
You essentially had to tear down the building and pour a new foundation while simultaneously trying to serve a line of customers wrapped around the block.
That's exactly what it was like. But the source emphasizes that this ecosystem offers a continuous growth runway.
Okay.
A merchant can seamlessly transition upward without ever migrating data. They move from the basic plan to the grow plan to the advanced plan at $299 a month, which unlocks deep custom reporting and 15 staff accounts for a growing team.
Nice.
And eventually, brands pulling in excess of $800,000 a month can transition to Shopify Plus. The underlying architecture never changes. The platform merely unlocks more powerful capabilities as the revenue justifies the cost.
So you never have to move out of the building. You just take the elevator to a higher floor.
Perfect analogy. And there is one additional scaling mechanism mentioned in the document that totally alters the traditional business landscape, and that's Shopify Capital.
Yeah, I saw that in the notes. How does a software platform suddenly become a lending institution?
Well, because they process the transactions, they possess perfect visibility into a merchant's cash flow.
Ah, they have all the data.
Right. Traditional business loans require a merchant to submit business plans, undergo credit checks, and negotiate with bank managers who frankly don't understand e-commerce. But Shopify Capital bypasses the legacy banking system entirely.
How does that work?
They use machine learning to analyze the merchant's real-time sales velocity and then offer tailored funding directly within the dashboard. The merchant can accept the capital to purchase inventory or increase ad spend, and the loan is paid back automatically as a fixed percentage of daily sales.
I have to push back on that a bit, though. I mean, frictionless capital sounds innovative, but isn't that incredibly risky from a dependency standpoint?
It definitely is.
You are relying on one single corporation for your website hosting, your checkout infrastructure, your payment processing, and now your financial loans. If their algorithm decides your store violates a policy, your entire existence is erased overnight.
It is the ultimate double-edged sword of the modern platform economy. The convenience is entirely paid for in control. You are exchanging the friction of the legacy business world for deep, fundamental reliance on a single tech ecosystem. And, it is a calculated risk every modern merchant has to accept.
Wow. It really highlights the core of what we've unpacked today. The ultimate value proposition of a platform like this isn't just about having drag-and-drop themes or a purple checkout button.
No, not at all.
It is entirely about the systematic removal of operational friction. It abstracts away the technical complexities of server hosting, it shields the merchant from the terrifying liability of credit card compliance,
Mhm.
and it unifies fragmented sales channels into a single dashboard.
Exactly.
Once you set this machinery in motion,
Yeah.
your only real job, and honestly, your only real struggle, is finding product market fit. Your energy goes entirely toward making sure you have something people actually want to buy.
This raises an important question, though, a really provocative thought to consider regarding the future of commerce.
Let's hear it.
If tools like this have essentially reduced the financial cost and the technical barrier of building an enterprise-grade retail infrastructure to just $3 and a few hours of configuration, does that mean the true competitive advantage in modern business now relies entirely on the uniqueness of your product and the authenticity of your brand's story?
That is something to think about the next time you click buy. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.